Hello everyone, today we're going to learn the first lesson of Unit 10 on statistics. So this will be a short unit since we've got air testing coming up in just 2 weeks. So today you're going to watch a video over different definitions of surveys and samples and figuring out if a sample or a survey is biased, and then also calculating measures of central tendency. What I mean by measures of central tendency are mean, actually it says it right here, mean, median, mode, and range. Those are all different measures of center for data, and you would use different ones of these based on what kind of data you have and what you're looking to find from the data, whether you want to use the mean, median, mode, or range. Your mean is like your average, your median is your middle, mode is the number that occurs most often, and then the range is the difference between your minimum and maximum values. So we're going to review how to find those. So a survey, and you can print off these notes if you're an e-learner. They're located in today's folder, or if you're an in-person learner, you should have gotten these notes in class, or you can stop by and pick them up if you didn't. So a survey is a study of one or more characteristics of a group. Population is the entire group you want information about. But then a lot of times most of the time, you can't take a survey over your entire population. You can't ask everybody a question. There's just too many people in the world to do that. So you find a sample of the population that you're going to survey. So it's just a part of the population. Now, hopefully your sample is not biased. We'll talk about that in a second. And the census is probably something you've heard of before, is a survey of the sample when it is too hard to take a survey of the entire population. So there's kind of just another word for a survey. A biased sample is a sample that is not representative of the entire population. Parts of the population may be overrepresented or underrepresented. And we'll look at some examples in a minute. And then an unbiased sample should be random. So you're not going to pick like your best friends to ask questions. You're going to try to pick the random people. Try your best to get it to be random. And then like maybe every 3 people lined up. Okay, and then a biased question is a question that encourages a particular response. And like I said, we'll see those in these examples. So determine the population and the sample. Your school wants to know if students are satisfied with the lunch menu. In each grade, students with the last name of M are being surveyed. So the population is all the students at the school. All students at school. And your sample is just the people with the last name beginning with N. Last name M. And then toothpaste manufacturer is interested in customer opinions for a new flavor. A representative sets up a booth at the mall to give samples and get feedback. So the population they're interested in customer opinions. So the population is going to be their toothpaste customers. Within their sample is just customers who come to the booth at the mall. Customers who come to the booth at the mall. Okay, number 2, we're going to determine if there's any bias, and if so, how could we correct the situation to eliminate the bias? So an election committee asked, do you support the incumbent's plan or the challenger's plan? Some people might think that like incumbent and challengers are it's phrased in a way to make you think that one is better than the other, but it's not. They're just definitions. So this would be unbiased. There's nothing wrong with asking this question. It's not trying to steer you in a particular direction. The first 25 students to enter the soccer field are asked, what do you think about America's most interesting sport, soccer? So first of all, they're asking the first 25 people who come in. So they're probably going to like soccer. And then second of all, the question is worded America's most interesting sport. So it's trying to get you to be like, oh yeah, soccer is the most interesting sport. So this is definitely biased. So first of all, they should try to rephrase the question. How do you feel about soccer? Or what are your favorite things about soccer? Do you like soccer? And then second of all, they should try to go to other sports to ask how they feel about soccer, or just people at the school, because maybe not everyone. Maybe they should think about people who really aren't into sports too much. So yeah, part C. Every 10th person at a DMV is asked, is the minimum driving age too high or too low? And I'm going to say this is unbiased. So first of all, it's random because they're doing every 10th person. And second of all, they're not asking the question to steer you in a particular direction. They could have asked, like, do you think the minimum driving age is too low? If they're asking that, then they're trying to get you to think that it is too low. So, but they're giving you either option. All right, so measures of central tendency. Like I said, mean, median, mode, range, and outlier. The mean is the average. Median is the middle. If your numbers if you have an even amount of numbers, you're going to take the average of the middle numbers. And then if, for example, if you've got like 9, 8, 9, and 10, then your median will be 9.5. The mode is the value that occurs most frequently. You can have one, none, or more than one mode, actually. So you can have different numbers of modes, or you can have no mode at all if they're all different. The range is the difference of the greatest value and the least value. So you do the greatest value minus the least. And then outliers are data points that are much bigger or smaller than the next nearest data point. So a point much bigger or smaller than the next data point. So for example, if I'm grading a quiz and most people got A's and B's, but there's one person who got a D, that would be an outlier. There's probably some circumstance there, the reason why they got a D, and but I would say mostly the grades on the quizzes were good. And then we're going to just practice calculating the mean, median, mode, range, and determine if there are any outliers. So for us, for the mean, you would want to take your calculator and add all these numbers up. For your median, you're going to want to order these or put these in order. So I would do like 196, 360, 398, 398, 400, and 420. Okay, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different values. So the median is going to be in between the third and the fourth one. And so that would be, well, normally we would take the average, but since they're the same number, the median is going to be 398. Your mode is also going to be 398. For the mean, we have to add them all up and divide by 6. So I'm going to do parentheses 196 plus 360 plus 398 times 2 plus 400 plus 420, close parentheses, divide by 6, and I get 362. So our mean is 362, and then your range, I would take the highest value, 420 minus 196, and that would be 224. Now my outlier, I would say that 196 is an outlier. There's actually a way to tell that we'll learn when we get into box and whisker plots what an outlier is. But I would say that that's an outlier because most of the values are between 360 and 420, kind of centered around 400. Okay, so I'm not going to do all of these. I had more examples, but to save some time, I'm going to skip example 2 and just go to example 3. So first step is to rewrite this in order. So I'm going to do 5.2, 5.6, 8.88 is next, 9.04, and 9.52, and 12.44. All right, so for outliers, considering that you have 5.2 over here and then 12.44 over here, I wouldn't consider either of these outliers because they're the same distance away. And there's actually a way that you can, like what I said, there's a way you can tell if there's an outlier or not using the IQR. And in this case, 12.44 or 5.2 are not outliers. So your mean, if you add all these up, you would divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and get 8.4. Your median is going to be between the third and fourth value. So you can think in your head, or you can add those two numbers up. 8.88 plus 9.04. You divide by 2. Let's take the average. You get 8.96. Your mode, there is none. So there's none. So there's no mode. And then the range, I would take 12.44 minus 5.2 to get 7.24. Okay, so that's all. So most of this should be review. Maybe the part about bias is new to you, but just reviewing how to find mean, median, mode, and range. And that is all. Hope you have a great day.